If you're looking for a car that brings muscle car levels of performance, but also the everyday practicality of an SUV, well, your choices are pretty limited. But one very competitive contender is this 2019 Dodge Durango GT. And with its sticker price of just over $40,000, it's a fairly affordable option as well. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you guys around not only the exterior and interior features and options of this 2019 Durango GT, but we're also going to discuss some of the positives and negatives associated with owning a car like this. So let's get right into the review. Now, this is 2019, so obviously the Durango is available with a ton of different options and technologies and trim levels, and sometimes it can get pretty confusing. Do you want the Durango Citadel, the Durango GT, the Durango RT, the Durango SRT? Is that even a thing? Who even knows? But one easy way to tell apart the different trim levels of the Durango is here with this front fascia, and in particular with this gorgeous Dodge style grille. In the base models, you see this big X right here in the middle. In the base models, that is all chrome. It's surrounded in chrome. It's all just a big chrome mess on the front of the grille. And it doesn't look bad, but that's for the base models. So here on the upgraded GT model, it's body colored and it looks a lot smoother and more sleek. But if you're looking for that extra upgraded performance, literally V8 muscle car Challenger performance, well, that's where you get an even more upgraded grille. It's got kind of a thin floating design, kind of a dual split grille element, and it looks very aggressive and similar to both the Challenger and the Charger. So now you know when you're looking at the front end of a Durango, you can just take a look at what style grille it has and immediately know not only the performance under the hood of the model, but also the trim name and the cost. Because remember, as you move up the trim levels, it's obviously going to cost you more money. But the Durango GT is kind of the middle of the range. It's got an upgraded exterior and interior with really nice premium materials and aggressive styling, but it still has that base powertrain. It's a 3.6 liter Pentastar Chrysler V6, which produces 295 horsepower and should get around 26 highway miles per gallon. So it's not the best powertrain, but if you wanted to upgrade, you could get a 5.7 liter HEMI V8 or even a 6.4 liter HEMI V8 with 475 horsepower. And they've also got a couple different options for the drivetrain, whether you want rear wheel drive or all wheel drive. But that's enough talking because we have a plane going overhead that's ruining the shot. So let's move to the exterior. So we've already discussed everything in the front of the Durango GT. That's the grille and the engine and all the different features up there. But there's a lot more. I wanted to talk about the exterior styling on the side and the rear of the car. So both these models are Durango GTs. They both have a color called Red Octane Pearl. It's a very deep red color, looks very similar to what you would find on a Challenger or something sporty like that. But it's also available with either 18 or 20-inch wheels. And I really like kind of this dark gloss chrome design that these feature. They look very nice with that Red Octane Pearl color. On the side of the car, you also have some pretty muscular lines, especially here along the lower door panel and down here with this little bit of a mud guard. It really helps flare out the side of this car and make it look way more aggressive than anything else on the road because it is packing a fair amount of performance under the hood. And you've also got a couple cool features in the rear of the car, including a little bit of a spoiler lip that is colored to match the body of the car. Very aggressive, very sporty. You've also got dual chrome exhaust tips and my favorite feature on the exterior of the car, which is that rear LED light bar. Now, light bars are something that a lot of luxury and premium sports car manufacturers are starting to integrate on their cars. Manufacturers like Audi and Porsche, they're all loving these light bars. Well, the Durango had it before pretty much anyone else, and it's got a really great aggressive race car design with 192 individual LEDs integrated into it, as well as the chrome Dodge badge right there in the center. It's got a very cool look. You get it on all the models, doesn't matter what trim you have, and it just really helps highlight the rear of this car and make it look aggressive and sporty, which is what this car is all about. But now let's hop in and check out some of the interior features of this car because that's pretty important as well. What I really love about the interior of the 2019 Durango GT is that it's really customizable to suit the needs of each individual customer. So in the base models, you get a pretty basic design. It's just a cloth interior with basic technology and basic features that you're going to find in just about any car, but that's just to keep prices lower. If you want a little bit of a nicer interior, like here in the Durango GT, you can upgrade either the trim level or pay extra for some different options. So here in the Durango GT, we have a full leather interior rather than that cloth, and it really makes this interior feel a lot more premium and really a lot more comfortable. So here on the center armrest and also all around on the seats and the gear selector and this very thick perforated leather steering wheel, we have beautiful soft leather. It's very comfortable to feel and to touch, and it also looks pretty stylish with this red contrast stitching all around. So it's a really great mix of comfort and customizability and practicality, but also pretty aggressive and muscular. You look around the interior and you can see a few different, bits and pieces here and there pulled from cars like both the Challenger and the Charger, which, remember, those are the muscle cars that Dodge produces. So you've got elements from those here in the interior of this Durango SUV that really help it to feel more performance oriented and muscular. So for example, I love the gauge design in this car. It kind of reflects not only some different elements in the interior, but also the headlight and taillight design on the exterior. It's kind of got that same basic shape, but in a gauge cluster form. It's also got a big info screen right there in the middle of the two analog style gauges. And as I said before, it looks very, very similar to what you're finding in both the Challenger and the Charger. So it helps this interior feel very, very performance oriented, especially when you're facing forward. And speaking of the different screens and technologies you get in the Durango, there are also a few different options for the infotainment system. As standard, you get a 7-inch infotainment touchscreen here on the dashboard with both Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Bluetooth connectivity. But if that's not enough for you, you can pay extra or upgrade your trim to an 8.4-inch infotainment screen that also comes with a navigation system. So no more hooking up a GPS up there on your windshield that's just going to get in your way when you're driving. It can all be consolidated onto this screen on the center console area for just a little bit of extra money. But obviously the screens in this car aren't nearly as important as your screens, so you can charge your phone or your iPad or whatever you want here on the center console area, where they have an auxiliary jack, 2 USB charge ports, and a 12-volt power outlet for all your different power associated needs. And what would a big SUV like this be without practicality? So there's tons of storage in the front seats as well, with 2 generously sized cup holders here on the center console area, a little bit of a change drawer here, and a huge storage compartment below the center armrest with even more 12-volt power outlets. So it's a great design here in the front of the car. My only complaint would be all these chrome trim pieces. They really kind of make this interior feel a little bit cheaper. You would find chrome in literally any Nissan or Mitsubishi or a cheap car like that. And I understand, Dodge isn't exactly a premium luxury car manufacturer, but I feel like they could have done something different than all this bright chrome, which I've been in this car for 5 minutes. It's already covered in fingerprints and it looks very cheap and low quality. So that's really my one and only complaint for the interior of the 2019 Durango. As far as the front seats go, there are a few issues I have with the rear seats, so let's hop back there and check them out. So my issues with the rear seats of the 2019 Durango actually begin as soon as you open the door, because you may remember those beautiful rocker panels I pointed out on the exterior that really flare out the side of the car. Well, unfortunately, as beautiful as those are, they do tend to collect water when it's been, heavy raining. And when you open the door, sometimes it will splash a little bit of a puddle on your foot. So it's a very small pet peeve, but I just feel like that's not really the first impression you want your car to make when you're toting people or bags around. You don't really want to splash water all over yourself and your luggage. So a very small issue that could be resolved very easily, but it's there nonetheless. But once you've gotten your feet wet and actually stepped inside the 2019 Durango, the second row seats are actually incredibly comfortable. This GT model features the available second row captain's chair, so it's a very, very similar design to the front seats, very comfortable, the same soft leather trim with the red contrast stitching and armrests on the interior side. So great design for these seats when you're sitting in them, but unfortunately, if you have this middle seat installed and you want to get into the rear seats, of which there are only 2, it's kind of a bit of a hassle. You have to pull on this cheap feeling leather and kind of wrestle with it a bit before you can finally slide it forward a few inches and crawl into the back. Now, I understand the rear seats aren't going to be used nearly as often as the second row seats are, but it's still a little bit of an issue to get back there to them. And this is a rather large SUV, so I imagine if you're buying it, you do want to have those third row seats easily accessible, and they're just not. Some manufacturers are actually putting a little bit of a button right here on the top of the seat and down at the bottom where it's all electronic. You press the button, the seat flips forward automatically, slides forward, and you just walk right in. I think that's something that would be really cool to be integrated here in the 2019 Durango or maybe the 2020 models that would really make it easy to access the third row seats. But other than that, the rear area of the 2019 Durango is very comfortable. There aren't nearly as many chrome accent pieces, so it's a lot prettier to look at. And the rear trunk also features a ton of space for all your cargo. And since this is the GT model, it's also power operated. So all you gotta do is press a button on the key fob and it'll open right up. Make sure to check out some reviews I've done of similar cars to this by clicking on one of the video cards right there. Also, I'd like to extend a huge shout out and special thanks to Dayton Andrew Dodge here in Clearwater, Florida for allowing me to review this Durango GT today. And also, make sure to leave this video a thumbs up, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you all so much for watching.